A little bitty boy, my grandmother bought me a cute little toy.
Who does it? Stars do it. I rear-ended a lady. I rear-ended her hard. Ma'am, I'm sorry that, yes, I did hit your car, but I'm insured. I got cracked. And welcome to the Dunk Tank here at DrinkinAZ. And I had a really, really cool experience. This woman out of the blue asked to be my friend. And I was like, wow, okay. But then I found out that, she was married.
Right.
So she said, I want you to talk to my husband, Drew, because they've got this really cool project. They're going to be an upcoming brewery, and really want you to talk to them.
Right.
So then we had a conversation, and so just a little background. I really just kind of want to get to know you guys as far as, all your partners. Now, there's Drew Poole.
Yep.
There's Preston Thoeny.
No, Thoeny.
Taney.
It's
All right.
whatever.
Right.
Thoeny, Taney.
Close enough.
Close enough. And Bill Hammond. So, first and foremost, how did you guys even meet?
Well, it's kind of an interesting story. So Bill and I work together. I don't know if I should say the name of the company, but it's a big tech
colleagues.
company locally.
Yeah.
But we met doing a volunteering thing downtown, like a bike build. We kind of became friends and started talking about starting a business together. We both had a big passion for beer. That kind of never went away. That was a few years ago. We started talking about opening a brewery and building out a business plan for that. I was in Portland at the time and kind of got the beer itch where I was talking to a lot of brewers and brewery owners out there, and just decided that this is kind of what I wanted to do with my life. And Bill and I started working on a business plan. My wife Colby, who's so good at reaching out to people and knowing people, told me that she grew up with this awesome brewer that's currently brewing at Big Sky in Montana, and he was actually looking to come back to Phoenix and start up a company. So we sent an email, and 2 years later, here we are.
Okay, so when he contacted you, were you like, wow, what an awesome opportunity, or what was that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, so my girlfriend was living with me in Montana, and she was having a miserable time with the weather. So she was looking for an excuse to move back. And so that was really easy. And so she was the one who was really excited about it. I was a little skeptical, and so it was an easy move for us. And
Yeah.
I was looking to move back to Phoenix, like he said, but to get out of the cold weather was nice, and that expedited the move.
And he was doing the evening overnight shift at Big Sky, so it wasn't like, it was too glamorous. He was kind of by himself in this huge brewery, emailing us back and forth like, hey, I don't know if I want to do this. What are you guys talking about? So,
He's making his own music videos at night.
Yeah,
in the
right.
brew house, dancing around.
And then now, what's your beer background? Because you're an award-winning brewer, so tell me about that.
Like most people, I started home brewing, and then moved up to Montana with the hopes of working for one of the breweries in Missoula. And a few months later, I was able to get a position at Big Sky and kind of learned the ropes of a production brewery through them. And then the whole time continuing to home brew, because they are completely different things. One's production and consistency, and one's more creativity and exploration. So kind of a mixture between the two, I suppose.
So what's your favorites? What are you known for?
Oh, I don't know. We have some Imperial beers now that are tasting really good. They're only about 6 months old, so we're excited to see what they taste like a little bit further down the road. One's a Imperial Porter, and the other one is I don't even know what it's called. German chocolate cake is what we call it, but it's a milk stout made with pie cherries and chocolate and vanilla and lactose and all that fun stuff. So.
Okay, so that's not too glamorous, right? You're working the overnight. You're cleaning. Isn't the brewing like 99% cleaning, really?
Yeah, I think it was a little bit more than that some days.
He was riding his bike back and forth to the brewery in the snow.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
But you're from Phoenix
I am
originally?
from
or
Phoenix,
where?
yeah.
Whereabouts?
Central Phoenix. So I went to Brophy. I lived right down the street.
Okay, all right.
So.
And then now, what about you? You're a native.
So I'm also a native. I actually grew up in Carefree, Cave Creek area up north, and went to high school in the city. And it's kind of where I met Colby. And then I went to Arizona State, and then I have a business degree from Thunderbird out in Glendale.
Really?
I
That's
do.
pretty prestigious.
That's right. No, but so I actually I got into brewing school at UC Davis, and I told myself if I got into this great business school, Thunderbird, I was going to go there. So I got into Thunderbird. I went to Thunderbird. Never stopped my, fantasizing about opening a brewery and getting into the brewing industry, but ended up working for this tech company right out of school and been doing that since.
You're like, what, 30, 35?
Late 20s.
All right, so, well, hey, maybe opening up a brewery really puts on ages.
Yeah, I guess. I guess I look terrible. I don't know.
No, it's a compliment.
Okay.
Hey, I'd rather look like you than look like me.
Okay.
So it's okay. And now, as far as Bill, though, I mean, have you always just liked beer? What's your story, Bill?
No, I've always loved beer. My story is I'm from the East Coast. I grew up in Maryland. I moved around quite a bit before I ended up in Arizona. I came here about 3 years ago, just before I met Drew, and then Preston. And I was always a beer lover. I mean, I certainly had many conversations with friends over the years of how cool it would be to start a brewery. And it wasn't until I met Drew that, we really started seriously talking about that. So I'm not the brewing brains behind it. I never went to brewing school. I never went to, I've never worked in a brewery.
He's all the other kinds of brains. So he's being modest, but.
Now, what school did you go to?
Well, I went to high school in Baltimore, Maryland, and then I went down to College of William and Mary in Virginia for school, and then I went to the University of Florida I got a doctorate in material science. Before I moved out here for this tech company.
So he's actually making the steel for our brewing vessels.
So you're Dr. Bill.
Technically,
that's
yeah.
Right.
Nobody, yeah.
And you're in your late 20s also?
I'm as of tomorrow in my early 30s.
Wow. Okay.
So
a doctor in the early 30s already.
I know.
Jeez. Well, my education's very impressive. It took me 16 years to get my 4-year degree. So started in no, it's true. I'm a smart guy. No, started in 94. Went to community college for 7 years. Not that guy. And then 2 years University of Phoenix. Took a long time off. Finished up, and then ended up getting a master's. So I guess in my family I'm the smartest guy, but it's really not at the table. So that's all right though. So let's talk about Westward Brewing Company.
Right.
How did it come up with the name, first of all?
Well, so as you can imagine, with all the new breweries popping up left and right, naming is really hard to pinpoint. So we went through a bunch of names, tossed around all kinds of ideas, and Westward was actually one of our original ideas, and kind of talking about, westward expansion and kind of the culture of the Southwest, and then also, having the Westward Ho, or iconic building downtown in Central Phoenix, where kind of, it's our backyard, kind of really resonated with us, and we just kind of ran with it.
And so that was a couple of years ago, 3 years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years
right.
ago. And so talk to me about how that works as far as from I want to own a brewery, I want to start one, to where you're at now. Like, what does that process look like?
It's a lot of planning.
I think you keep just throwing the ball down the field and then trying to catch up to it.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's how we actually started. Drew and I were talking about doing this, and we just went ahead and registered the company, with the state before we had any idea what we were doing, and we've learned along the way. We've done a lot of reading and a lot of planning. It's been a long time of planning.
I think one of the good things about our background, especially Bill's background, and from an engineering side, is very process oriented. So I think the banks we went to, they all said that we had the best business plan they've ever seen because it took us a year to put it together because we were so meticulous. Just like, I don't know, we probably had 100 revisions or more of this business plan, and it was just like the most bulletproof thing you can imagine. And we're like, all right, we're not going to do this until we have every single dollar and cent accounted for about how we're going to make money, what our potential profit is, all this stuff. So yeah, there was definitely a lot of background work to it, and it took a long time. And we're talking with Preston about, his expertise in the industry, because obviously we're outsiders looking in and we're just estimating. But Preston really knows, about beer costs and things like that. What are the raw materials and kind of projecting hop prices, stuff like that, which are really important. We bake those into our business plan, and yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of late nights.
And how do you even do that? Because right now, because of all the different breweries setting up, hops is going up, right? Price is going up?
Yeah, I mean, not only the price is one thing, that's something we can recoup with the sale of beer. The main issue is just being able to get the hops. And that's something that we're running into now as a new brewery. So we have already ordered hops, I think up till 2017. So we're having to project not only the hops we need our first year, but predict our growth up through the next 3 or 4 years. So it's a balance between predicting the hops we need and finding suitable replacements. We don't want to sacrifice a recipe. For instance, we have a recipe that relies heavily on Amarillo hops, and we can try and match that, but we think the Amarillo hops make the beer. So we then have to find Amarillo hops. So that's something that we are trying to deal with. We have a lot of contracts with a lot of different hop distributors and growers, and it's its own aspect to the brewing world I didn't really expect.
And a lot of it is the spot market, right? So it's, hey, we're opening in a couple months, let's go try to find some Amarillo hops, and going to the different forums like Pro Brewer and the local Arizona one, and just kind of hounding them and just waiting for these hops to show up and then pouncing on them. It kind of happened with brewing system as well. So we were at the point where we had to order our system, or we had to try to find a used system. So again,
and we're going to talk about that here in a minute, because I want to talk about your system.
Yeah.
Everything from what the system is to how are you bringing your water in? Is it going to be whatever, distill, all that. So we're going to take a little break, and then we'll be right back, and we'll talk about your building, talk about where you're at in the process, and really where you're planning on going.
Sounds good.
So this is Dunk Tank, and DrinkinAZ.
Phoenix Brewing Supply is an online retailer based in the Phoenix metro area. This online shop is geared up to give the homebrewer competitive prices on a wide selection of all of your homebrewing needs. Phoenix Brewing Supply provides quick access to a variety of hops, yeast, additives, and adjuncts. Spital fermenters, 5-star chemicals, chillers, draft equipment, plumbing, and hardware are all products you can find at the click of a button. When you can get most orders shipped within one business day, why go anywhere else? Log on to phoenixbrewingsupply.com today and receive 10% off of your first order when you register online. Phoenix Brewing Supply. What are you brewing today?
Okay, so we know this is a Dunk from the Dunk Tank, and it's really enthralling conversation because so many people want to do this. And you're right, there's the business plan and everything goes with it. So tell me about the system. Where are you at as far as what you have in the building? How do you do all of it?
Yeah, so I'll just finish that last thought, and then I'll hand it over to these guys because they're all the equipment experts. But what, with the brewing systems now, when everybody's starting up, used systems are really sought after. So they kind of pop up, and then within a day they have 10 different offers. So we're actually tracking this one system down. I think it was the winter because there was a snowstorm wherever it was in Wisconsin. We talked to this brewer. We're like, okay, we're going to buy your system. We're flying out there today. Bill had bought a ticket, and he was getting on the plane. He calls the guy. He's like, oh, somebody just wired me $75,000 in cash for the system. It's gone. So, go back to the drawing board and then, go with who we eventually went with, which is Frank. But Bill or Preston could probably tell you more about that.
Yeah, we went with Pacific, who is out of California, and their equipment's fabricated in China, and they have a great history with making tanks, and I think they're pretty new to the game as far as entire brew houses go.
Yeah.
But all of the schematics we saw, and he flew out to meet with us, and we're really happy and excited with the system we're getting. It's a 10-barrel from Pacific. And we're going to do several different size tanks, so we're going to be able to do some double batches and some small batches.
Yeah, and so with, Pacific, right, they're based in San Diego, but they get their stuff made in China. I know a lot of American companies now, they are getting their stuff outsourced and made in China. It's kind of something you have to do. We really wanted to go with an American system, and there's a really great place called Metal Craft up in Portland that makes all their own stuff from scratch. They were great to work with. We talked to them for a long time, but again, as part of the business planning and starting a brewery, the lead times for an American system or a German system or whatever are at least double that of what you can get in China. So trying to plan your budget, trying to plan your loan, we got an SBA loan, trying to figure out, okay, when do we have to pay for this thing, and when's it actually going to get here? So that's something huge that can really set you back, and that kind of comes into your rent costs and all this stuff where it gets really messy. But I mean, in the future when we expand, I think we're definitely going to go with an American system or something like that. But yeah, again, it's kind of going with the Chinese system is still really quality, so I think we're happy with it.
Now, can you expand where you're at? Because I was looking on your website. There's so you got a tap room.
That's right.
Cold storage, and so there's two or three buildings.
There's a third one. There's a warehouse size building just for brewing. So the brew house will be in an independent building, and it's. Do you know how big it is, Bill?
The brew house is.
Yeah, it's about 1,000 square feet.
1,000.
Dedicated. It's got very tall ceilings, so we're trying to build in a little mezzanine so we can get a little bit more use out of the space. So we do have plenty of room to grow. Not to a very large size, but modestly from where we're starting.
Right, we're in the old Simply Bread buildings, which used to be a bakery. A little while ago, they went out of business a few years ago, down on 24th Street between Thomas and McDowell, next to a street called Oak. We're actually taking over 3 buildings technically. So the first building is like an old house. It's built in the 20s. Got really great character to it. That's going to be our tap room. Behind that is our brew house. So it's going to be the 1,000 square foot, 2-story brew house. There's going to be a little courtyard there where we're going to have tables and chairs and things like that, like a beer garden almost. And the next door is like a 1,200 square foot cold storage space that the bread company had built special for them, just to store bread and whatever, I don't know. But we're going to use it for kegs and barrel aging, things like that.
Okay. And now, where are you at in the process right now? So when can I enjoy one of your frosty beers?
Yeah.
From right now.
So right now we're looking late September. But right now it's crunch time. It's all about, we've been planning for 2 years, and everything is coming together, and the timeline planning, getting everything. The trick is now getting everything to culminate at the same time.
Right.
So
all our licensing, all that stuff. So we have our big hearing next week at the city. We're in the middle of the TTB process with the federal government. Working with the Maricopa County Environmental Services, like Bill said, all this stuff happens at once. So really, the planning phase is, it's stressful, it's hectic, you're working nights. Then you get to this point where, you get your SBA loan, and then all of a sudden, the starting gates open and you got to go, and you do all this stuff at once. So yeah, we've been just running around like chickens with their heads cut off, just trying to get everything going.
So how much building have you done? Have you broken ground? Where are you at in the buildings?
Yeah, so the landlord is doing some improvements initially, and then going to deliver it to us in a gray shell, and we basically do the finishes.
Okay, all right. So then September we can come down and hopefully enjoy a. Now what are we gonna drink when we're down there? What are your thoughts? What do you got planned?
It's a really good question that we're working out right now. We definitely have we're going to have an IPA and a porter that we're really proud of, and we'll stand behind. I think those will be really terrific beers. We also have a lot of what we do is going to be some beers that are going to develop over time that won't be there at the launch. So we do
a lot of lagers and things like that take a little bit of extra time.
You gonna do anything with like us or anything, where we give them a recipe and they
Like a collab kind of thing?
yeah, where they'll make your beer for you ahead of time? And
Oh, no, I don't think, I think we want to dial in our recipes on our system. So I think that might work a little bit backwards to what our end goal is.
okay.
Especially, we spared no expense. We, got the equipment we wanted and the building we wanted. So we really want to play around with it on our own. I think we're afforded the opportunity to do that. So we definitely will get to see kind of, there's a difference between 5 gallons and 10 barrels by the time the beer is finished. And so, it's going to taste different no matter what we do. And so kind of dialing in that taste is something we really want to deal with on our own on the brewery.
And are you going to have the award-winning ginger pale ale or the dry hop IPA that you've got the silver awards for from AZ Brewfest?
Yeah, definitely. That IPA is one we're really excited about. That one turned out better than we ever expected, and we've brewed it a few times, and it always tastes exactly the same. So at least on a small batch, very small batch, we're able to keep it consistent. The ginger pale ale we all love, but we'll definitely be brewing that within the first month. We'll just see how the audience, the customers.
Because it can vary. It can be really intense gingery, or it can kind of mellow out and up and down in just kind of one glass.
It is a refreshing beer, though. It's enjoyable. If you like ginger, you'll love the beer.
We're going to use a lot of local ingredients, southwestern ingredients, in all the beers that we do. So, whether it's like turbinado sugar or, dates, things like that, we're definitely going to have beers that reflect that. But at the same time, I think we kind of just, go with whatever inspires us at the moment. We don't really have too many set beers. Like Preston said, we're going to have our IPA, our porter, our, wild rice lager kind of thing.
Are you going to have food and maybe entertainment? What's your, any of that in the future?
Yeah, so we're, it's just a tap room, but we're going to have, snacks, bar snacks kind of thing, and hopefully food trucks. But yeah, we don't have a kitchen or anything like that, so we got to avoid the mess of, health inspections and things like that.
Okay. All right. Well, these guys are up and coming. They're going to blow it out of the water. And I really just want to thank you for coming. And in the future, we'd love to have a show there and
Absolutely.
drink all the free beer as possible.
For sure.
Maybe half off.
All right, half off.
Yeah, legally, we have to charge you for it.
Fine. All right, so this is Dunk from the Dunk Tank here in DrinkinAZ. And everybody have a great night, and we're out.
Woo!